I was part of a coaching group at the time, Next Level Loan Officers, and I heard her talking on a podcast with them, and what she was doing in terms of helping people get their own brokerage up and running was just really, really intriguing to me. I thought about that, and it was something I was heavily thinking about at the time, and started thinking about more and more and more. And so I wanted to set up an initial conversation, and I was just really encouraged after that initial conversation. She basically was like, "Yeah, you definitely need to be opening up your own mortgage brokerage," and just yeah, that's kind of where it kicked off. That's how I got connected and had the initial conversation with Megan, and took off from there. I had been at a broker shop and at retail, so I had experience in both. At the time, I was at they were kind of like a hybrid model, and nothing really bad to say about them. I just knew I wanted to build my own company, and it obviously there's more revenue, but you have um, more say in like just how things get done and building something your way as well. And yeah, it's been a really good move. There's some different broker models, flat fee models, and everything, but that you can do, and a lot of people advocate um, like, hey, you'd actually make more money because you don't have to worry about all the compliance and everything. I would actually counter that, especially when you look at it a little bit deeper. That being a business owner versus being a W-2 employee, the same amount of money, what ends up in your bank account is vastly different. Even if it's the same amount of money. And they really have helped out a lot with a lot of the compliance and just kind of creating a roadmap. Not that I don't have to do anything. I do. But they're really helping me and kind of guiding me along, letting me know the things that are important, the things that aren't important, the things that I should, reminding me of the things like, hey, remember you have to do this. Like I was talking with Eric, twice a year, I have to complete this form that I wouldn't have thought of. So, but they're super helpful. They have a pretty solid, and it's the boring stuff that I don't want to spend time on. The boring stuff, the minutia, but if you don't, like, will really come back to bite you. They've really spent the time on that already and have systems, forms, processes already in place that I just need to adopt and swipe and adopt, and they help me out with that. And so uh, I know it helps save me enough a lot of time, and kind of oddly enough, like I probably I'm not as appreciative of how much time it saves me as well, simply because I've never done it. Like, fortunately, I started off with them helping me out from the get-go of having my own broker shop versus trying to do it on my own and experiencing the pain that they've already gone through with some of the stuff. I'm genuinely trying to learn from their pain and their mistakes and the things that they've sorted out, like they talked about. So hopefully I don't have to. And so far it's been really good. So the thing that excited me the most, I felt like the path from me thinking about having a mortgage brokerage to having a mortgage brokerage and originating loans was going to be much shorter, and that's with them versus trying to do it on my own. That was the main thing, and I believe that to be true. Again, I don't have the experience of trying to do it on my own, but just knowing the things I would have had to done and the research I would have had to done on a bunch of different, and I'm sure I could have figured it all out, but it's opportunity cost. You know, it's opportunity cost, and boy, I've paid that price before, and I know how expensive that can be. So I didn't want to pay the opportunity cost, and it's whenever you say yes to something, you're always saying no to something else. So um, yeah, and so it's just being strategic with my time. I know for myself, and I know a lot of originators just have an innate ability to be distracted by all sorts of different things, and from the things that you ought to be doing. And so taking as many of those potential distractions off my plate as possible has been really helpful. And then in terms of like building a team and what to look for, like looking forward to the future. Right now I'm starting out really small, but eventually I'm going to be focused more on growth and adding different team members, and I know they're going to be really helpful on that aspect of it. Um, and even just like, you don't know what you don't know sometimes, and that that's come up a few times just in talking to them, like the things that you didn't even know that you should be looking out for, the questions you didn't even know to ask. Sometimes they help you in asking some of those questions, and just they really are wanting you to learn from their experience. And Megan and the whole crew and Dre, they really they do really want to see you succeed, and they genuinely care. It seems like, and it's not just, well, you're not just a number to them. It's something that they genuinely care. So, which I've definitely appreciated. It's been definitely a huge net positive. And I'm constantly like evaluating, like, hey, what's the value? And this is the initial conversation I came to them with. Like, I talked with them about how much revenue I kind of calculated that we brought mortgage, and said, did they bring X amount of value to my business? And I couldn't say like I felt that was the case, and versus like being, maybe they do for others. I'm sure they do. Just for me, I didn't feel that way. And again, not a bad company or anything. I feel like they're a good company, but that's kind of the same framework I'm evaluating. Like at the end of the day, you can like people, and you just like, okay, is this valuable? Is this adding value to my business objectively? And yes, I feel like that's the case, with them, and they are adding value, and sometimes and maybe it's a credit to some of the things like because they're taking care of some things for me in the background, and I'm not really thinking about it, because it's not visible, and you actually are focused on other things. You can forget about like what they're actually doing for you, and kind of like I said before, like I don't even, because I never tried to do this by myself, and I never tried to, just do it like, hey, I don't need anyone's help. I don't know what that experience is like through experience. I chose not to do that, but just almost trying to imagine. Sometimes I have to imagine, okay, what would this be like if I were doing this by myself? And yeah, it's definitely a good investment and a good ROI for me. Versus and a lot of what I get time is I get back is time, capacity, and bandwidth is what I feel like.